This week on the OneCast, we're joined by Dwayne and Ryan with Take a Warrior Fishing Inc. to talk about the warrior fishing events coming up.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What is going on, OneCast fans? Welcome back to the OneCast, episode 60. We always try to guess, and we're never right. I'm going to say 3 because I think that's where we're at. Probably 64, somewhere in there. Super excited to have the Take a Warrior Fishing Inc. crew here to talk about their mission, what they've got going on. But beforehand, we can't get started without shouting those out that support us, help us do this show. So first and foremost, OneCast Fishing. Head to onecastfishing.com. Use the code the OneCast at checkout. Save 10%. Get your snagless jigs, your long neck hooks, weedless neds, all the soft plastics. Bed fishing season's coming up, and I know those long neck hooks are nice for when those fish just want to pick up the tail of whatever it is you're trying to jack them off the bed with. So check them out. OneCastFishing.com. Code the OneCast, all one word. Of course, Carolina Waters at CarolinaWatersNC.com. Code the OneCast, all one word. You can see we got Ryan rocking the hat over there. I've got one of their shirts on today. Ben didn't wear anything and Trey didn't wear anything. They're fired. So, but yeah,
Carolina. We got other friends too.
That's right. I know. Carolina Waters.
And the other stuff.
You are. Carolina Waters, big supporter of the show. They've been with us, one of our first supporters to come on. We've enjoyed collaborating with them, doing stuff with them. So make sure you head over to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Code the OneCast. Use that at checkout to save 20% off your order. Trey?
Well, it wouldn't be a show without mentioning our newest partners, Hobie Eyewear. You can check out the link in the description. Head on over to Hobie Eyewear and check those guys out. The link is going to get you guys money saved, 15% off on all Hobie Eyewear. They got great sunglasses and apparel that you guys can check out. Pete's rocking one of their hats right now. They sent us a swag bag. It was absolutely phenomenal. And one of our good buddies just made a video on Instagram showing the Mojo floats, or one of the float series. They absolutely float in the water. So go check them out. Use the link in the description. You guys are going to save some change. We know the economy sucks right now, so every penny counts. And then also, speaking of every penny counts, interest rates are kind of through the roof. They are going down a little bit, but hey, if you're in the market for a slice of paradise, looking to get out of that concrete jungle and head off into the woods like where I live, you want to hit up our buddy Eric Schwinn at Eric Schwinn at MossyOakProperties.com. You can shoot him a text at 936-494-9686. or an email at eschwind@MossyOakProperties.com. That's ESCHWIND at MossyOakProperties.com. He'll get you guys squared away, get you that little piece of paradise you're looking for out in the sticks.
That's right. That's all linked in the description below, though, too. So if you skip through this like I do when I listen to podcasts, just click the link down below. Check that out. Before we get started with the Warrior Fishing guys, Take a Warrior Fishing Inc., NPFL had their first championship finally, the culmination of blood, sweat, and tears over the last 3 years, going into their 4th season. Fishing Amistad down there on the border of Texas and Mexico, had a great event. They caught some big bags. Everything lined up really well for them guys. 67 feet low the lake is right now, just from drought conditions, so made for an interesting event. Brandon Perkins, congratulations on being the first NPFL champion. Jesse Wise has the biggest bass now, local North Carolina guy. 10-9, largest bass ever weighed in an NPFL event. Caught it on a jig, was a ton of fun to watch, and his reaction to that, if you haven't seen it, go look on socials. It was awesome. Really awesome to watch and see.
That fish ate it.
It ate it too.
It ate it. And I'll tell you what, Paul Benson called me yesterday and we had a conversation, and just so you guys are aware, we're going to bring Brad and Paul back on the show to talk about some of the lessons learned from their inaugural championship event. They struggled a little bit with the coverage, but I'll tell you what, they made it all about the anglers. And one of the things that Paul mentioned was, Del Rio really put out. They had a great showcased event, and the community was well receptive to the NPFL showing up. And, they just want to highlight the fact that these host communities that bring these big events to the local area really helps stimulate the economy, and it brings a lot of visibility to areas that haven't been visited in a long time. And Amistad's one of those places. So it definitely showed out. Man, I'll tell you what, Brandon Perkins, he's been with the league since day one, winning that event. That was fantastic. But I'll tell you what, it was a shallow water slug fest for a lot of guys. And so that whole forward-facing sonar debate, let's go ahead and throw that out the window. You know what I mean? So
except for Brandon, he caught all his deep.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really using forward facing. He was fishing vertical walls.
Yeah.
And you know what?
It was fun to watch.
The forward facing sonar debate was interesting this last week at Santee too, because it wasn't as big as player as it normally is.
You can go back and listen to our last episode from last week or 2 weeks ago. Actually, it has this one that just dropped. So last week, because it comes out tomorrow, we're recording on Wednesday. And we go into some forward facing stuff and y'all stop being ugly. Anyway,
enough of that.
Enough of everything. I think that's all. We do have Jesse Wise coming on in a couple weeks. So it'll be cool to get his take on fishing down there. And then, as always, we'll have some other MPFL anglers on and the owners to talk about the championship. So
shout out to Abby too.
Yeah, Abby Abadanza going to be coming on for those of you if you kayak anglers. He just won the Hobie BOS wire to wire in Alabama, I believe. Everything, Logan Martin, everything's running together. Yeah, Logan Martin. So he had a heck of a tournament down there. We got him coming in a couple weeks.
Country music and bass fishing, baby.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun conversation. But we're about to have a fun conversation with Dwayne and Ryan. Take a Warrior Fishing Inc. Warrior Fishing is the event that they run, and it's growing. They're running a few more. So Dwayne, if you want to start us off, let us know your role, and then we'll let Ryan do the same.
Cool. Yeah. First of all, thanks for having us. Can't thank you guys enough for having us here. And I know a couple of you on there are prior military or active duty military. So thanks for your service, and can't thank you guys enough for your service and for doing this. But so Take a Warrior Fishing, I started about 2022. Yep, 2022 unofficially. And we started at Sharon Harris in November, just like we did last year. And it was not a 501c3 when I started it. It was just a way for me to get the military back on the water, because I had started a charter business on the lakes and offered a free charter to get my name out. And one of them was free fishing to the military. And I had a unexpected high response to that, where I couldn't give everybody a free trip. So I just started thinking, what can I do to get free fishing to the military? Talked to a couple people, talked to a guy that did something similar at the coast, tweaked what he did, and then came up with this Warrior Fishing event, and then started reaching out to businesses to say, hey, you mind donating any product for prizes? Because everybody gets prizes at our events. And some of the bigger ones, the first question they asked was, are you 501c3? And I said no. So they said, well, if you were, we would donate, but we can't since you aren't. So I told myself if it went well, then I would pursue 501c3. So November 22 went really well for two reasons. We got a couple of reasons. One, it went well. We got a lot of prizes. We got a lot of people, a lot of warriors fishing, and that's when I met Ryan. And then fast forward to January of 23, I pursued the 501c3. We got it around March. Ryan had reached out to me right after the event, said, hey, I'd love to be able to help you do more with this. I remembered it, and then I had a board member or a friend that was going to be a board member that dropped out, and we reached out to Ryan and said, hey, you still interested? And then the marriage has been ever since. So very fortunate to have Ryan on board. And we'll talk about more what we do, but I guess you can say I'm the founder president of Warrior Fishing, and Ryan is everything else with Warrior Fishing.
Brian, tell us about your role and what you got going.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's great to be here. Dwayne, you flatter me and give me too much credit as usual. I appreciate that. I came on with Dwayne to really help grow the organization and help with the outreach, as well as the sponsors, to get tackle and baits and rods to our warriors, active duty and veterans. And we really identified there was a big gap in the community where there wasn't an organization taking veterans and active duty fishing for free in North Carolina at that time. And really saw something we could work on together and build and grow. And it's been awesome to see how quickly the organization has grown. We've organized dozens of fishing trips across the state. We're expanding into other states. We're hosting 3 major events this year, and the amount of support has been phenomenal. And that's really what I focus on is helping to grow the partnerships and the sponsor relations and get the resources we need to be able to take those warriors fishing. I'm a tournament fisherman. Dwayne is actually a guide. Crappie catfish. So we spend a lot of time out on the lakes ourselves, and being able to combine those two things together has been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there was a gap left in North Carolina because we had something unique with Warriors on the water, and I know Trey fished it for the first time. That's what got him ingrained in the community and into bass fishing and then tournament fishing and all that. And I know his story's not the only one there. And when that folded and kind of went away, there was a gap there, and then y'all have come in and started to try to fill that. And the importance of outdoor therapy, we all recognize. Trey works with another nonprofit. We were able to take a couple guys out this past weekend for a day on Sharon Harris, and we didn't catch a bunch of fish, but man, we had a blast.
Yeah,
I don't think I've laughed that much. They all laughed. We fished pretty close to each other, so we could talk smack back and forth the whole time, and it was a really good time. But the importance of that, and you all are providing that. So you said you have 3 events. I know you have one coming up that's full, the kayak event, but we'll let you talk about that. And then you have 2 more bass fishing events. I think the fall one is any species, but let's talk about the events that y'all have this year and kind of give a background on what they are and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak to the May event, and then Dwayne, if you want to speak to the November inaugural event. We met Doug. I actually met him at the boat ramp. Very familiar with Piedmont Bass Classics, having fished in North Carolina for a while, different clubs, Carolina Bassers, Renegade Bassmasters, Bass Pack. And I knew that Doug had taken over Piedmont Bass Classics, and I knew that he was retiring. He's a veteran. Mm-hmm. So I actually walked up to him at the boat ramp, and we were pretty new at the time. And I said, hey, I'd love to partner with you and figure out a way to get Warriors out, as part of a bass fishing tournament. Would love to join up with your tournament trail and have an event. And he said, well, we have an event every year. We take active duty and veterans fishing and have them pair up with an angler volunteer. So it was a perfect fit. And we're having a 5 fish limit event on Harris Lake in May. Perfect time of year to catch some fish on the beds. Put those Deep Creek lures to use, those soft plastics, and throw on a Carolina Waters hat and get out there and catch some fish and have some fun. I'll let Dwayne speak to the inaugural event in November we hold every year, because that's the really big one, and that's kind of the crown jewel.
Yeah, and to add on what Ryan's saying, get a little plug for that event as well. I think we're up to 17 fishermen or boaters, so we need 13 more. So if anybody's listening and you want to participate, we need 13 more boats. Because the goal is to have 30 boats with 30 warriors.
So where can they sign up for that, Dwayne, as boaters?
Warriorfishing.org. And then once you go to that webpage, go to events, and then just scroll down till you see the Warrior Classic event, and then click RSVP, submit your information, and we'll get it. And then you'll be paired with a warrior. With a boater within. That was a warrior. Sorry about that. I just confused myself.
Are you full on Warriors, or are you still taking Warriors too?
Say again?
Are you full on Warriors, or are you still looking to hit that 30?
We're right there close, but we'll still take them, because what I've learned doing this already in the 1.5 years, 2 years I've done it, that we have folks that'll sign up and then they drop out. So we have a waiting list, but so the last 2 years we've had a waiting list, and we've actually went through the waiting list and didn't have a wait list for people that dropped out. Last year alone, we had 20 drop out in the last week, right before we started. So luckily our wait list was able to get in. So yes, we're full, but that doesn't mean that you still can't get in. So to answer your question about boaters, I'm sorry, you actually have to go to the Piedmont Bass Classic website, or .com, and go from there and click on the Bass Classic or Warrior Classic event, and then sign on from there. Warriors, if you're confused, just go to warriorfishing.org, shoot me a message, and then we'll get you registered the correct way. But I want to get that out there, because we want to definitely have at least 30 boats, so we get more warriors out on the water. So prior to May, we've actually got an April event as well. So last summer in Fuquay and Apex and Holly Springs, there's a magazine called Suburban Living, and they send the magazine to every resident in those neighborhood or in those towns, municipalities, for free. And one of the authors that is a part-time guy, is a veteran of the Army. He found out what we're doing, wanted to do an article. So Ryan and I met him at the American Legion in Fuquay, which happens to be the largest American Legion in the state. I didn't realize that until the day we went. And they were going to do an interview, but they were so excited about us and us coming to see their hut that we, for about 2 hours, got a tour of the hut and never did the interview. So while we were there, one of the guys recommended us, because I don't know if you're familiar with the Fuquay American Legion, but off of Johnson Pond Road, they have a 10 or 15 acre pond right there. and they actually brought up, why don't you do a kayak event here on our pond? I'm like, if you guys want to host us, we'll definitely do it. So our first event for 24 is there at the Fuquay American Legion on April 13th. It's very similar to how we're doing our November event. It's going to be 4-hour fishing. It's going to be open fishing. It will have to be catch and release. Every fish will be catch and release. We're going to cater it, and then at the end we'll give prizes for the top 3 fish. And again, it's open fish. And then in November, which will always be our marquee event because that's where I started this everything. November will most likely always keep it at Sharon Harris in November, just because I feel sentimental now that that's what got me started. That's our big one. Everyone that participates will get a big 36 can cooler from Coors Light that they donated. In that cooler bag will be prizes that we get donated from generous people and or businesses. It could be lures, it could be barbecue sauce, it could be pickles, it could be a cheer wine, whatever the community wants to donate, we put in that bag and we give to every participant. Then they fish for 4 hours. They come back, they get a raffle ticket, free raffle ticket. We raffle off some more cool items that are donated. And then we give the prize for the top bass, catfish, and panfish. And those are more prizes that we get. And all those prizes so far have been donated from very generous partners. And the first year we had 23 boats with 37 warriors. And 23 we had 35 boats with 57 warriors. And then this year, you know how you had to get the permits, and that was a debacle at the beginning of the year. The wildlife was generous enough and gave me 75 boats, which means now we got to go 75 boats and 75 warriors. I'm very nervously excited about that, but it's good. And you mentioned about the 2 guys you took fishing or last weekend, I think it was. So backing through Mr. Rick, he got me connected. It was actually one of the first warriors that I took out since we started this, and he got me connected with David Tupper, with Team Tupper, Disabled Marine. And you talking about, and being a veteran, some folks probably doesn't think it'll affect another military, but just seeing that guy, talking to that guy, he doesn't have legs. I mean, it was just, I was like, you know what? Why am I so upset at myself? This guy is just happy with life, just glad to be out here. And that day, I actually texted my wife and said, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It was just awesome just to meet him and do it and see the gratitude and the graciousness and just the decompression that fishing allowed him to have. So that day, I'm like, you know what? And I told Ryan the same thing. I don't know if you remember. So I texted him like, we're doing the right thing. This is cool. Yeah, so it's pretty awesome.
And I wanted to add to that too. We have our 3 major events. We also take warriors out across the state from mountains to coast on a rolling basis, where we have a portal system. If a volunteer wants to take a warrior fishing, they can contact us. They can contact me, Ryan, at warriorfishing.org, or takeawarriorfishing@gmail.com and volunteer their time. Hey, I'm going out fishing for crappie or bass on a Saturday. Would love to take a warrior, and I'll work to get them paired up with a veteran or active duty fisherman who wants to go on that trip. Or if there's a warrior who wants to go fishing, they can reach out to me. We have a lot of volunteers that I'll send out a blast, and I mean, it's within minutes. I'll have a volunteer to take them out. That's and awesome. Wanted to thank OneCast as well for donating some tackle very generously to our event in November last year. That was awesome, and the warriors really love that.
Yeah, I think when you run so first of all, there's not enough nonprofit organizations to facilitate the amount of veterans that we have in this country. But so it takes a village, right? There are a lot of nonprofits and stuff, but co-opting events is very important. I plan on doing the same thing when I retire next year, like getting a little bit more active. But what you guys are doing is extremely important. And I hear it all the time, and we heard it on Sunday. There's a lot of veterans that say that I haven't fished in 10 years, or I haven't been outdoors, right? And so when you get them back to that grassroots like environment, it unlocks, it makes them vulnerable to talking about the things that they don't traditionally like to talk about with anybody, because they're surrounded by unlike-minded people versus taking a veteran out. So, the outdoor and I want to challenge, boaters and stuff out there. Like it's not about the prizes.
Thank you.
It's not about all those, the lickies and chewies, if you will. It's about the mission of just getting somebody outdoors and letting them unlock some of the things that they've been bottling up for so long. And if you're willing to give them an ear just to listen, I can tell you it saves lives. You know, we got a good buddy down in Florida, Mike Johns with FX3, you know, Heroes Harvest, Warrior Fishing. I mean, the list goes on. But what you guys are doing, it truly can save and probably has saved lives. And, you know, that statistic that they're out, like, you know, 22 veterans commit suicide a day. And I don't know if the statistic is the same, but one a day is not acceptable.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so whatever we can do to band together to bring these guys and gals in the outdoors and get them back to their roots, or if they live in a concrete jungle and they're city people, getting them out there to enjoy the things that we still have in this country. So I want to commend you guys because it's extremely important. Like Pete said, Warriors on the Water, you know, Hal Abshire running that organization, fishing my very first tournament on Jordan Lake was that was one of the things that saved my life, saved my marriage, and just gave me something, a sense of purpose and sense of fulfillment. That's what a lot of veterans are missing when they walk out the doors. Those two things. They don't find a sense of purpose. They don't have a sense of fulfillment. What am I living for? So I really do commend you guys. Like, you're doing a great thing. Your mission is fantastic.
Yeah. I just want to reiterate what he said. Like, boaters, it's not about winning a trophy or a check. It's not about that. It's really just about getting those folks out. And so sign up for the Piedmont. It's a little bit of money, but you're supporting a better cause. And, you know, it doesn't matter. Like I said, Trey's quickly become probably my best friend that I have in North Carolina. Ben's right there too. But Trey and I spend a lot of time fishing together because we live close. And when I heard him say Warriors on the Water saved his life, it really hit home for me because I'm like, I never would have met this dude. We wouldn't have built not only the podcast, but the friendship we have outside of this if it weren't for an event like that. And it really showed how important it was. And then this was the first trip I did with him down here with a veteran. And when that guy put his rods in the boat and was like, I haven't had these out of my shed in 7 years, I was like, we got to get these dudes out. He's just been retired and not doing this stuff. And we had a blast, man. And I hope it leads to him fishing. I know we're going to take him again because Sharon Harris was being Sharon Harris on that day, and it wasn't the best fishing, but
bed fishing's coming up. You know, the guy, you know, the first trip, and I just want to tell this story. I think it's important. Years ago, I took a retired 22-year Marine out fishing on Jordan Lake, and it was brutal. It was brutal. He didn't catch a single fish, but he didn't close his mouth for 6.5 hours. Right? He just talked. He was a guard at like Lejeune. Or no, he worked on tanks, whatever, but he was surrounded by GS civilians that didn't have the same like mind as him. And it was so important. And those are the relationships you guys are developing. They're long lasting friendships, relationships. But anyways, I'm going to stop commending you guys because I could do it all day long.
Thank you.
So for the May tournament, we just real quick, Piedmont Bass Classics. If you're a boater, go to Piedmont Bass Classics. You can Google it. The website will come up. Sign up there as a boater. They're going to pair you with a warrior. Go to warriorfishing.org. Did I get that right? Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
You can sign up as a warrior for that event. And then for your November event, is all of the signups on your site, boaters and warriors?
Yeah. Everything other than the Piedmont Classic is off of our website.
Yeah.
And
Piedmont, I think, is called. Oh, go ahead.
No, I want to touch on two things you said, Trey, with regards to the number of nonprofits. We are very eager to partner with other nonprofits. We're not too proud to say, no, those are ours. We want, because our goal is to get Warriors on the Water. I mean, no pun intended. That's our goal. And if we can do that by partnering with other nonprofits, that's what we're going to do. So we've partnered with Fallen Outdoors, and they're going to bring 4, I believe, to our kayak event. And we've partnered with Unbroken Spirit, who's out of Asheville, and they're bringing 3. And Boss, which I'm very proud that we were able to partner with them. So when I started this, being a veteran, I like you said, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of opportunities for veterans to do things. There's not a lot of fishing, but when I envisioned this, yes, I want to target veterans, I want to target retired, but I also want to target that young soldier that came to Fort Bragg from the state of Washington, the age of 19 to 20 years old, and has no clue where he's at in Fayetteville or where she's at in Fayetteville. And to keep them out of the bar, keep them from just whatever that could go wrong because they don't have nothing to do. I wanted to target that young soldier as well. And luckily, I was able to get connected with Boss. And we actually have a contract signed with Boss now that they're going to have 5 at the kayak, 5 at the Bass Classic, and 25 in November. So I'm really excited about doing that. And the other thing I want to touch on, I mentioned David Tupper, but you was talking about the trip where the gentleman talked for 6.5 hours. So I moved to the coast recently, hence the reason I'm on, not there, and I'm on here on the computer. So in Belhaven, North Carolina, I had a female boater reach out to me and said, "Hey, I'd love to take a female warrior fishing." Long story short, I put something out on Facebook, got a very quick response, had a lady contact and say, "Hey, can you call me?" I called her. She said, "Hey, my mom is a Vietnam era corpsman, and she was married to a Vietnam era corpsman, which was her dad at the time. The dad passed away. She got remarried to an airborne, a veteran airborne, and they were married for about 20 years, and they fished all the time. He passed away 3 years ago, and the mom the female corpsman hadn't fished since he passed away. So the daughter saw this and reached out to me and said, "Hey, can we surprise my mom with this fishing trip?" I said, "I don't know I said, "I'm sure we can, but I'll need your help because I'm here, you're there," type thing. She said, "Well, I'd love for my son to be able to surprise his grandma. My son is active duty Army. He was former Marine, now he's active duty Army. Can we do that?" And so let me call the boater. So I called the boater. She pretty much laughed at me for even asking if that could happen. She said, "Make it happen. Let's do it." So the grandma, which was the Navy corpsman, and the grandson, which was a lieutenant in the Army active duty, was from Clayton, drove from Clayton to Belhaven, North Carolina, which is about a 3.5 hour drive. And somehow he was able to surprise her. When they got to she had no clue. When they got to the boat, the Navy corpsman cried. She was so excited, and they nailed just nailed the speckled trout, and they caught a couple flounders. And that day, and that was the second best. It was probably the best. I mean, David Tupper was a pretty good experience for me, but that being able to surprise and get two. So the grandson had never fished with the grandma. I forgot to put that out there too. Having two military warriors out there fishing as a family, and just her reliving that was pretty awesome too. So I had to share that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I do want to shout out, if there's any of the soldiers that live in the barracks on Fort, which now Liberty, but we'll always call it Bragg. So Dwayne, you're referring to bosses, better opportunities for single soldiers, right? So better opportunities for single soldiers. There's a lot of soldiers that sit there and shake their head at it. It's annoying. Like, I don't want to participate in these paintball things and whatever the case may be. I challenge you, if you're listening to this or watching this, Better Opportunities for Single Soldiers has a lot of opportunities for you to explore a new territory. So just like Dwayne said, you come from Alaska or down here to Bragg or wherever it may be, and you're looking for something to do, and you're trying to get out of the dark hole of Fayetteville. No, like, not hating on Fayetteville, but we all know, like, military towns they have a certain culture, right? So if you're trying to escape that, like, look at your boss opportunities, and every single one of you soldiers has a boss rep assigned to them. I know this. You have to, right? So get with your boss rep on base and figure out how you can
I
get.
felt that NCO.
Oh, I have to tell you, man. Like,
well, I was going to say, it's excellent to hear you guys with the boss program, because I remember as a young lieutenant sitting in the tasking's office, you would see the warriors on the water tasking come down, March time frame. Hey, we're looking for, I forget how many, each brigade had so many people, and unfortunately I never got to, because we always had training or something going on whenever that happened. And then unfortunately the program kind of, it fizzled out, around COVID time frame. But no, so it's awesome you guys have that engagement to reach directly in with those young soldiers, because there's a lot of, and being part of some of the, I don't know if you guys are part of like the Facebook groups for like Fort Bragg fishing and all. There's always, young soldiers going out there and trying to find ways to get their line wet. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and they post on all the NC sites. So NC fishing, you'll see guys get transferred here, and they're asking for things. So warrior fishing has that opportunity for folks. So Ryan or Dwayne, whoever wants to take the question, tell us a little bit about how, let's say I'm a soldier. I have a little bit of leave. I'm not going to go anywhere, but I want to put my name out and say, hey, I would like to take a trip next week. I'm off, whatever. Do you have any boats? And so you have an opportunity for them potentially to ask when they have availability. How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what it's all about. Touching on Trey's point and Dwayne's point is giving those opportunities for, a warrior who's looking to get out on the water, right? Get that therapy. And I had the same experience when I participated in the warrior fishing event, where I took a veteran out. I mean, we talked the entire time. I think maybe he caught one fish the whole day, but it was just the best experience of his life getting out on the water. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is not knowing how to do that and
Sure.
looking for a way to do that. And we have our 3 events, but we want to be able to allow them to get out on a weekend, or if they want to go, they can shoot me a text. I'll give my email out right here, my number, 919-917-1758. Shoot me a text. Let me know you'd like to go fishing. I'll get you paired up, or shoot us an email at takeawarriorfishing@gmail.com. And we have a lot of boaters that are just willing at the drop of a hat to take a veteran out on a weekend or even a weekday.
And let's say I'm a boater and I got a couple weeks off and I'm going to be out there and I want to give a couple of days. Same deal. I can reach out to you and you can try to find me a vet to take out or an active duty.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. I have my phone on me. I'm ready to take phone calls, texts, answer emails, and get people paired up to enjoy getting out on the water. I love doing it. And I mean, even if it's early in the morning, late at night, I'll respond as quick as I can and get it set up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the so what's your message? And I know from personal experience, like, so not everybody has the same level of experience on the water. So what are some of the things that you when a boater reaches out to you, what are some of the things you tell them, like, hey, you should probably prepare spinning rods and things like that? What are some of the tips, Dwayne, Ryan, you guys either can answer? What do you usually tell them? What's your guidance for them?
Yeah, for sure. I'll answer a short answer and then hand it over to Dwayne as well. But we our volunteers are very willing at this point, to provide that gear and tackle, and it's been amazing to see. But just having some gear for them to use, nothing too crazy. I mean, depending on what species you're targeting, and being able to just teach them, the basics, because a lot of these guys may not have gear to go fishing with in the first place, and we're trying to help with that as well and give out gear. But really just having a rod rigged up and some bait and having the equipment to be able to enjoy a day on the water.
Yep. Dwayne, you got anything for that?
Just one small thing. Since we're official 501c3 and since the world has become very Sue happy, we also make sure that each warrior, before they go on a boat, signs a waiver. And we have to make sure the boater has insurance as well, and all the unpleasant stuff we have to do. That's the only non-fun stuff we have to do with the entire event is waiver. Make sure you got insurance.
No, absolutely. I always say, hey, make sure you have a second person, a PFD for them, a flotation device. Make sure that you bring water. A lot of times I don't provide food because I don't know allergies, right? But I do food and stuff or beverages and stuff like that. Make sure they have I don't know if this is the state law. If it's a sanctioned 501 event, does the veteran have to have a fishing license? I think they do still, right?
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. So yes, any event, any single trip, you have to have a fishing license. But what I do is I'll contact the wildlife before our event, and I'll get a waiver for that event. And those that don't have a license, all they have to do is sign a form. I turn it into the wildlife, and they're good to go for that day.
Yeah. So if you're targeting bass, and here's some lessons learned, and Ryan, you can chime in on this. If you're targeting bass, some of the best things you can rig up for these veterans, it's like a Ned rig, a wacky rig, a drop shot, something to where they can use, or a small swim bait on a spinning rod, right? And we always offer, and I guarantee you guys do it too. Like if they want to bring their own gear, they can bring their own gear, right?
Yeah. Yes,
but if they don't, spinning rods are a good way to go. If you want to teach them how to use a bait caster, teach them how to use a bait caster, because I always add this disclaimer before a trip. It's not about catching fish. I would definitely want you to catch fish, but I just want you to enjoy the experience, right? So, and we definitely had that happen on Sunday. So, expectation management's a big thing, but there was a tournament that was supposed to be ran, and I really feel bad. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but it was it's on Lake Hartwell. They had 150 veterans sign up, and I'm not going to name the organization because I feel terrible for them. But they had 150 veterans sign up, and they only had 19 boaters sign up, right? So that changed the entire dynamic of the situation. And in fact, that's why Pete and I ran the veteran strip on Sunday. We were actually supposed to get another guy to come up from Florida and another veteran from Virginia to come down because he has signed up for that event. So follow through is very important for the organizations. What have you guys had any significant lessons learned as a 501 with these types of events?
I'll definitely take that one. So the thing that I learned very quick is you just mentioned follow through, and I know the folks that sign up get kind of annoyed with me, but my mother-in-law's taking pictures so we can get one from the camera.
It's all good.
Yeah, there you go. Take a
Trey's
picture.
gonna take a
Taking a
picture.
picture. Yeah.
This is like multiple levels of inception right here. We got
Inception, right?
cameras
So-
upon cameras upon cameras.
I'll start. So I started 2 weeks ago with this April event of sending confirmation. All right, are you good? Are you still good? Yes or no? And then they'll drop out or not. And I did one Sunday. So now I'll start doing weekly because like I tell them, I don't want to get to that point of where we have an open spot that I could have filled with a warrior that's on that waiting list. So with the events they have, like Bass Classics, I'll have to depend on Doug to help me with the boaters on that side. But the warriors, I'll do the same thing. But for November, I'm sending multiple emails. I'm sending contacts to the warriors and I'm sending contacts to the boaters. So out of all the events that we've had, I've only had one no-show, that no call, no show, no nothing. And to me, I think that's pretty successful. And Operation North State, I'm not sure if you're familiar with those guys, but Mr. Terry was nice enough when I became an official 501c3 to let me pick his brain. And that's one of the things that he harped on too. Unfortunately, I'd already started doing that anyway, but unfortunately I really do want to make good and share my love for the water and fishing, but there are sometimes you get frustrated as a 501c3 and as someone that is facilitating the event, because you do have some folks that take it for granted. You do have some folks that don't appreciate as much as what you're doing. And sometimes they don't understand why we have to do what we do. So it is frustrating, but it's worth it. At the end of the day, it's worth it, because when we have those events, it's a blast. There's so many smiles. My hand gets shook so many times. Ryan's gets shook so many times from the boater saying thank you for allowing them to help the warrior, from the warrior saying thank you for allowing me to go catch fish, even if I didn't catch a fish. Thank you for getting me out here. Like you said about the prizes, they enjoy getting the prizes, and some of them are not as good at it as the others. But the main thing of the camaraderie, just rubbing elbows and actually getting to fish for 4 hours is why we get to see the smiles. And I actually look forward to that event every year. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. For anybody listening, I'm going to reiterate something we've talked about. It's not about prizes. It's not about that. If you've never gone out with one of these veterans or active duty folks that they have, I mean, we all have demons, right? We all have trauma that we've dealt with in our lives, whether we're a veteran or not. But when you can physically take somebody out and you can see relief, and they open up and they talk about stuff, and you're having fun and they're laughing, you make friends that are lifelong. It's not about any of the prizes or anything like he's talking about. It's really about that networking, and you truly can save somebody's life that day, because you don't know what they're going through. And that goes not just for our veteran community, but just being decent to anybody.
100%.
But especially in these events, taking that veteran out, giving that opportunity, even if there was no prize or anything, that could really be the difference between them being here tomorrow and not, or being here next week and not. So think about that when you're looking at these events, and you know, I know everybody's worried about money with the economy and everything that's going on, but it's a drop in the hat. If you have a bass boat and you're worried about $100 to go take a warrior fishing, probably shouldn't have a bass boat. I'm just going to say it out loud. We're dumping money into our boats constantly, and if you can't afford to afford one weekend to potentially save somebody's life, maybe it's time to not have that boat.
Open up one of those lockers, and how many of those gates have never even been used?
Yeah,
right?
it's a lot. You know, so I will say, you guys are doing it. I don't think there's a right way and a wrong way in a lot of circumstances. I think there's a better way and a worse way. But I will say, like, coordinating with Doug with the PVC is a fantastic way. We ran an event last year in Sharon Harris. It went off like it was. I think there was 50 boaters and 50 veterans. Yeah, we had a blast. It was fantastic, and I'm super excited for that. Everybody's a winner. Everybody wins. So if you're looking at like winning versus losing, everybody wins in these situations. Yeah. I did want to ask you as far as coordinating these events, because as much as the audience is listening to this, I'm learning from this, right? Because I've been doing this for a few years on the nonprofit side, but I haven't organized giant events. Last year was my biggest event. Do you guys coordinate around giant tournaments? At least on the bass fishing side, do you worry about like ongoing tournaments or anything like that? Because you get a lot of your boaters from there. So I just wondered, Dwayne or Ryan, from coordinating these events, do you work around tournaments?
So I'll answer that before Ryan. Let me answer that for Ryan, because when I started this, the answer is no. I just got lucky when I did November. And the reason I chose November, it was the right before the weekend before Veterans Day. And I knew the ramps wouldn't be crowded in November. So that was one of the benefits. That was one of the benefits of bringing Ryan on board, because he tournament fished, and I didn't even think about it when I did November the first year about tournament fishing, and then he came on board. So answer initially is no, but since Ryan's been on board, yes.
There you go.
There you go.
Beautiful. Summed it up. Yeah.
You have the opportunity, folks are listening. You know that we're friends and support Special Operations Bass Anglers. They run a big tournament that benefits a specific family each year on Veterans Day, on the Friday before Veterans Day. Now we get to fish a tournament or fish. It's not really a tournament, your November event. It's more just about getting out and fishing. Mm-hmm. We get to fish one the week before, and then we get to go out to Norman and fish the SOBA tournament. So
yeah, that is a fantastic.
I better see a bunch of y'all. Yeah, with your boats there,
100%.
Or we're fighting.
The word tournament is what catches a lot of these.
It does.
It's like the trigger word, right? Like it's tournament, but understanding like there's a mission behind the tournament. And I think a lot of the 501s, and you guys are definitely doing it the right way. So,
just real quick, I want to reiterate something Dwayne said. Like him and I had a conversation a few weeks ago at the Greensboro show about 501c3s and how there's a lot of them. And if you're one of them, maybe listen. And if this is striking a nerve, then maybe look in the mirror. But there are a lot of them that do see individuals as theirs or events as theirs. And it's like, if you take this guy that I had, now you're poaching my charity. And that's not what it's about. So for y'all to openly want to work together, and FX3 is the same way. Special Operations Bass Anglers, we've talked about working with them with some of the other organizations and all these groups. You're working with Boss, and you have other the other nonprofits, Operation North State, working with y'all. Like that's the only way we're going to get more people out and extend our reach, because there's a lot of opportunities, but there's also organizations that are very protective,
secretive.
We want
territorial,
to all row in the same direction type of thing, instead of being such compartmentalized and individual.
And that's not what it's about. It's about getting as many folks as we can. So just hearing, like, for me, the right way is what y'all are doing, like working together. If 15 other nonprofits want to throw people in the hat, you're not going to be like, no, this is our event. You're going to be like, what can you bring to the table? Let's do it. And I think that's big.
Thank you. It's about building a community. Yesterday I was on the phone with a gentleman that's bringing out warriors for 15 trips in the mountains fishing for trout this summer. And I saw an opportunity to bring the Fallen Outdoors in and allow their warriors to get out there. So I went ahead and helped coordinate that, because it's about a community of groups that support our warriors and give back and give them those experiences to get out and enjoy the outdoors and thank them for their service, because we don't know what they're dealing with. And we can get in the way of that if we don't work together. So we're really big on that. And building that community between warriors and boaters. And I've seen real friendships and community start to pop up. Like we have events, outside of our tournaments, like socials, and people just come out, supporters and friends, to support, our warriors.
Yeah. Dwayne, on the business side, and that's, business is relative in this statement, but since the economy has kind of sucked, well, it definitely sucks. How challenging has it been for you to get donor support, whether or not it's, financial donor support or just, through gear and stuff like that?
Did you hear that, Michigan, when you said that?
Well,
I usually don't hear it with Trey.
I was going to bring it up.
Challenging.
Really challenging. Trey's Michigan accent's come out about 6 times a day.
Has it been multiple times?
We're going to have a conversation after this. Just meet me out back with your canteen, okay? 2 quart.
Yeah. So my in-laws are from Chicago area, so I kind of caught it. So it's really hit or miss, but like we went to the Greensboro Expo, it was very eye-opening and a good feeling, because we had about 5 different vendors come up to us and say, hey, I want to give you stuff. And that stuff, it wasn't just fishing vendors. It wasn't tackle vendors. We had a vendor beside us that was selling barbecue rub. They said, hey, go to my website, pick out what you want, and I'll send it to you. And when he told me, I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I said, I'd rather you send me what you want to send to us, and I'm just appreciative of whatever you want to send. I don't want to go to your website and say, I want this. I want you to just tell me what you want to give me. We take it. But he insisted that we go to his website, pick what we want. So we have a pretty good response with gear, or not gear, but product, whether it's 5 bags of plastic versus 5 plastics versus 500 bags of plastics. We've had pretty good response with that. The money side is not as easy to get. People are more willing to give up product. And that's fine because we're 100% volunteers, but we do have expenses because we're official now. We have a website. We got to pay for that. We got insurance. We got to pay for that. The 501c3 fees. And then we try to give shirts like this at all of our events. So those aren't free. So we do have title sponsors like National Guard. National Guard is one of our title sponsors, and they actually gave us funds last year. So I'm hoping that we can get more of those. And then, like Ron mentioned, our social, we're having an annual, it's going to be annual now. It's going to be our second one, but at Tap Yard Raleigh in September, we have an all-day barbecue / band festival in Raleigh. And we're able to raise quite a bit of money at those events. And I was talking to Ryan, so we've been to the Raleigh Expo. Doug let us sit at his booth for a day. And then we did a booth of our own in Greensboro. And we'll sell raffle tickets. We'll partner. I actually forgot about another nonprofit we'll partner with, Wheels on Deck, that we'll partner with, which we'll talk about in a minute. But we'll do raffles. And it's interesting. When we go to fishing-specific expos, we don't really sell a lot of raffle tickets. But we get a lot of warriors signed up. We'll get some few boaters signed up. But when we go to the bars or breweries, we make a lot of money. I don't know if
why that is.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because they are a little feeling pretty good when they come to us, or they're just very patriotic and they see the mission and they provide to us. So we've made most of our money comes from fundraising. So we would love to get more sponsorships. Just that way we know that we can budget better, obviously. But we're grateful for what we get. So I don't know if I answered your question. It's really ebb and flow with product. The funds is where we hope we can get a stronger foot on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You guys got National Guard supporting you, and if there's any of the OG like FLW anglers listening to this, they're like, that's where the National Guard.
Yeah, that's where they went.
Yeah. So we actually got very fortunate. Ryan mentioned some friendships that are made. So one of the head recruiter out of Greensboro fished our first event, and then he came back this past year and fished it again as a boater and took a warrior, and he's the one that got connected. But him being the boater and the warrior that he fished with are talk almost daily now, and they've hung out quite a few times since that event. So I know that we are able to connect and get friendships set up in our event. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about Wheels on Deck, or?
Yeah.
Kind of speak.
Go ahead, Ryan. You got that connection
For sure. Speaking of community, so I work in cybersecurity and I work in a sales organization. A lot of my coworkers are actually prior military or heavily support the military. And I've had coworkers who are veterans who've asked me to take them fishing this April. And what's funny is that our head sales engineer, our guru, owns a business. Well, it's a nonprofit called Wheels on Deck. And they take disabled folks, not just warriors, but anyone who's disabled, fishing off the coast of North Carolina. And the boat is accessible to those in a wheelchair. And he reached out to me and he said, hey, I have a charter boat and we run this organization. We'd love to take some of your guys out for saltwater trips. So that's been really cool to see. And we're working with them to schedule and take out warriors over the course of the summer for offshore trips. We're actually raffling off to raise money to be able to pay for some of our costs. And down the road, maybe be able to pay for some expenses to take warriors fishing. And we're funding this trip as well with the money we get. So the expenses are paid for with Wheels on Deck, but they're taking out the lucky winner of this getaway, 10 days beach house, as well as an offshore charter trip. And we're using those funds to raise money to take warriors fishing.
That's awesome. I do want to ask one more question, and I know the answer, but I'm going to let you put it out there. For me, I could care less. And I know Trey doesn't care. Ben doesn't care. A lot of people don't care. But I know you get the question, if I take a warrior out on my boat, can I get some gas money or something? I know that that's not happening, but are you able to provide a receipt for them for services or something like that they can use as a write-off? So I know that question gets asked.
It does. And that's a very fair question, because if we're asking you to donate your time to boat, you should ask that question. So yes, we can give you. So right now, our only thing we can do is give you a form that you can have tax write-off for you. The goal is, like Ryan mentioned, is eventually we won't be able to do, because we've got people fishing. We've connected fishermen in 6 different states, from Wisconsin, New York, Las Vegas, North Carolina, obviously, and I can't remember where else. So I don't know if we'll ever get to the point that we can help provide expense money for our volunteers that are not part of our events. But what we are trying to do now, because when you deal with volunteers, you are very grateful for their time and their boat, but you don't want to push them, and you don't always get you get the commitment to say I want to do it, but you don't always get the full commitment of following through. Trying to be very political how I say that. So to help offset,
you can call people out on their BS, man. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, well,
I'll do it for you. Look, if you reach out to these guys and say you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
Don't back out. Don't flake out. It's very important.
So that is actually, we're probably 50-50 with people that reach out and actually follow through with actually taking it, which is unfortunate. So to help fight that, get that a higher percentage of getting the warriors back out on the water, I had an idea. Let's partner with some guides. Let's partner with some charter captains and see if they'll donate their time. And because it's their livelihood, we will try to give them money to pay for their expenses. So like Ryan said, wheels on deck, that's what we're doing. We've got a raffle that Ryan's going to be drawing for on Saturday that is with Pigpen Guide Service on Jordan Lake, where he's going to take 3 warriors fishing and we're paying for the expenses. We've got another one at Ocean Isle. That's the inshore charter. Is going to do the same thing. We're going to do another raffle and we're going to pay for the expenses. The raffle, when I say raffle, it's just a way we post it on social media so we can get exposure for the business. We're trying to thank that charter for taking the guys and girls out. So long answer to your question is yes, we'll give you a tax write-off form. We pretty much can't give you money to offset your expenses unless you're a guide, and we can't always do that with guides. We just don't have the funds to do it right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I've been with Heroes Harvest for 4 years now. I haven't sent in a single tax write-off because I don't care, because I'm going to be on the water anyways, right? Like if you know you're going out on the water, you're going to be by yourself and you're not practicing for, even if you are practicing for a tournament or whatever, and you are a patriot and you support the veteran community, hey man, offer up a seat in the back.
It's even better if you're applying for a tournament, because you can make them throw wacky reels that you don't really want to fish, and then well, if they're catching on that, I can always go to it.
That's actually a great idea.
I think it's definitely. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Trey, that's the same thought process I have too, and I try to get that into the guy's head too. Is hey, if you're going fishing, if you're going scouting, they don't care if they catch fish. Just take, if you want to go, just let me know. We don't need a week in advance. We could, like Ryan said, if we could get you something within 24 hours. If you know you're going scouting, if you had a cancellation and you're going to, let us know, because you're already going. So why not take a warrior if you're going to go? Some guides have been open to it. Some are still like, you know what, I'm losing money if I do that, or I can't show my fishing hole. I can't do this and that. So we still got a ways to go before we get that partnership going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't worry about it. Your fishing hole's already been found. I don't care who you are.
Exactly.
It's 2024, baby. We got like 15 sonar units on our boat. So
no more secrets.
Yeah. All these old heads don't know how to turn geotagging off on their iPhones, and I'll jack that stuff off a picture in a second.
We're covering the background with this picture.
So you mentioned your website. We're getting close to the hour mark here. Not that we have to stop at an hour, but we usually do. You guys hit us with all of the websites again so everyone can hear.
So for warrior fishing, it's warriorfishing.org. That's the one for all of our events. And you can do that for the Piedmont Bass Classic one too, and then we'll get you connected with Doug properly. But for the May, PiedmontBassClassic.com is where you go for that. And if you just want to become a tournament fisherman, Piedmont Bass Classic is a good organization to get with as well, because we mentioned Doug, but we really haven't talked about Doug. Doug just retired from the military for 30, I think it was 30 years, so right around 30 years.
I just told everybody he was in for 100 years.
Yeah, well, he looked it. Yeah. The way he walked.
What was it, 32, right, Trey?
34.
34
years. That's right, 30-something. So you guys know Doug. Great guy. FLR is his nonprofit that he's got going as well. Faith, love, and
respect.
So can't give him enough plug for Doug. But warriorfishing.org, Bass Classics, PiedmontBassClassics.com are the two. And then on social media, we do. So if you're a warrior and you get into our system, you're going to get the emails that myself or Ryan sent out with fishing opportunities. We do also offer some opportunities on our social media. So if you want to follow us on social media, it's Take a Warrior Fishing Inc. on Facebook and Instagram. But to really get all of our fishing opportunities, you need to be in our system. And that is by going to warriorfishing.org and then hit contact us and then submit your information from there.
And I'll have all of this linked below for all of you listening. So you can click there if you don't want to go look for it on your own. It'll be down below in the description for y'all to follow.
And I will say, like Dwayne and Ryan said, you know, a lot of the nonprofits, they'll focus in a certain venue, such as fishing or hunting or whatever. And then there's some that do it all. But it doesn't matter if you're a veteran and the only place you know to reach out is to Warrior Fishing. I can guarantee you they'll get you connected with somebody in another state doing another activity, you know, and that's kind of how we ran it last year. You know, Backwoods Hunters and Anglers, I think it is, out of Fort Bragg, BHA. They showed up at the Spring Warrior Clash last year. They offered different venues than what we did, but it's all about that connective tissue and building that community that we talked about. So even if you want to reach out, just reach out to these guys through their websites or whatever the case may be. And we say it on the show all the time. You know, we put our cell phone numbers and stuff out there. Man, if you just need to talk, if you just need to have a conversation, right? Reach out. And I'm not throwing you out there to do that, but I would submit that you'd probably do that too. So there's a lot of opportunities that everybody in this room and these guys right here that are running these programs, they're willing to continue that act of selfless service to give back to the veteran community. So definitely appreciate that. And then partners, you talked about a couple. Go ahead.
Before you let them shout out their partners, there's one that they mentioned. And he's not really an official partner, but Rick Zalvadere, Bassin Through, does so much for the North Carolina community. He's got a growing social media. He's always highlighting local businesses and what they've got going on, local nonprofits, all of that. So if you're not following Bassin Through on social media, go follow that guy. He's a great content creator and just a great
guy.
Yeah, just a good dude.
Yep.
Now go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, can you your partners one more time if you can go through those just so we can show them some love?
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned if you contact us, we can get you connected. We have a close partnership with all of the different organizations we work with. The Fallen Outdoors takes veterans in active duty hunting and fishing, and we have a tight relationship with them. I think they're the second largest veterans nonprofit in the country. So I'm more than happy to hook you in with, his name is also Trey, great gentleman.
Yeah.
We actually met at the Raleigh Expo as well. We talk back and forth every week. Really, or any other opportunity you're looking for, whether it's fishing or hunting in the mountains or fishing at the coast, we can get you connected. So Faith, Love, Respect Outdoors, Piedmont Bass Classics, The Fallen Outdoors, Unbroken Spirit, and Wheels on Deck. And if I'm forgetting any, Dwayne, feel free to hop in.
Well, everybody knows about the American Legion, but they're a good partner with us now as well. Some of the if it's the time, you want to give some shout out to some of the folks that sponsored us as well right now, or is that later?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Before you shout them out, we are going to do that. Any potential new sponsors that are listening, whether it be money, product, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you, either as an individual or a company, if they're looking to do that?
So
yeah, we're always looking for. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Ryan gave his phone number. But go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, we're always looking for. I mean, it's out there. Just don't send me any memes or anything. I mean, if they're funny, I'll take them. But if not, we're looking for partnerships, right? And I talk about giving resources to the military community and giving them fishing gear and as a thank you. Like, hey, thank you for your service. We want to give you what you need to enjoy the sport, and that's what we're about. And working with organizations that understand our mission and that's the end goal. So you can contact me. I'd love to chat. Figure out, how we can partner to get that gear in the hands of warriors.
I'll put his email below in the description, and I'm not going to put his phone number out there like that though. No. So you can email him, and then if you want to exchange phone numbers, you can. But I will also link that in the description.
Just rewind like 30 minutes before you'll find this.
Yeah, he did say it very fast, so maybe turn your playback speed down a little bit. He was at least smart there. He rifled through it to make sure it wasn't super easy.
I mean, we could just make it a short,
a reel over and over again on loop.
Our website actually has a lot of useful information. I spent a lot of time with getting that, and we actually have a sponsor link on our website. So if you go to warriorfishing.org and click sponsor, it actually explains all the sponsor levels. You can see who the sponsors we've had between last year and this year. But Ryan is the one that helps lead all that, the sponsorship up. We both do, but Ryan he's got the pretty face, and that's why I actually thought I was just going to be talking without the voice, and that it was perfect. I got the radio face, he's got the camera face, so unfortunately I'm on camera too. So
late night FM radio.
At least he gave you FM. He didn't throw you to the AM channel.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's peasant stuff, dude. What are all the socials that you guys are on, and where people can find you?
Yep, we're on Instagram, Take a Warrior Fishing Inc. And Dwayne, if you want to speak to the rest.
No, just that, and we ain't got time to do the other ones. We got Facebook and Instagram are our two main ones. Just ain't got time. That's our two main ones.
Yeah. So Take a Warrior Fishing Inc. on both those. Again, they'll be in the description below. And then now all your sponsors you're currently working with, whether it's product, money, whatever, anybody you want to shout out. Let's go ahead and
I'm gonna read it from our list from our website right now. And it's a combination of last year and this year, just because we started mid-year last year, so we're kind of carrying over. So our title sponsors from last year, Bass Pro Shop out of Cary, Southern Harvest Hospitality Group. Those guys donated all that great food. If you guys participate in November, you're going to get some great food because these guys give great food. They don't charge us a dime. I already mentioned the North Carolina National Guard. State Farm, Josh Bennett, insurance agency out of Holly Springs. He's a Apache pilot, so it's pretty cool to have that flying around with insurance. Foresight Solutions Group out of Raleigh, All Equity Matters. That's her. She's actually Navy as well. Catch Outdoors last year gave us tons of tackle to give away as gifts. So that Kelly we were just shocked how much he gave us last year. And then Cedar Fence out of Fayetteville. He's one of the original members of our board as well. So that's our title sponsors. And then our 4 stars is Molson's Coors Beverage. So you're always going to have a beer in there. But they donated all of our bags, which is pretty cool. Structural Integrity Builders. That's my buddy out of Salisbury, North Carolina. Every event that I forgot to mention this. So in addition to be able to help warriors and do well, I've actually got reconnected with 2 friends that I haven't seen in like 20 years because of this, of them wanting to help. So Structural Integrity Builders is one of them. My buddies from Salisbury drove from Salisbury, North Carolina to fish in both events and brought prizes to donate. So it's pretty cool. Ralph and Mary Jane Percy, they got a surprise check out of the mail for them. So you can see the levels. I'm at 4-star now. So if you're interested in what a 4-star entails, you can go back and look later and see what these folks have actually donated in product or funds. Our 3-star is Tap Yard Raleigh. That's where we have our awesome event in September. Highly recommend you guys come. We actually are going to have 3 bands. One is Gypsy Railroads, the duet. The other one is Brent Underwood, and he says it's like Carrie Underwood with less money. Is how he explains himself. But he actually has signed.
That's pretty.
And that too. I didn't want to tell him that part, but I think he knows. He actually has signed a country label. He's going to be our band, and then Tap Yard's got one already. And then we're going to have a competition cooker, Mr. Rick, that's going to cook our barbecue and serve that. That's our big fundraising event. Lawless Lures, that was one we met in Greensboro. Gave us quite a few lures in Greensboro. Sam Jones Barbecue, which I don't know if you're seeing a theme here with beer and food, but I like both.
We got beer and barbecue. I'm good, bro.
Yeah. So Sam Jones is going to cater our April event. Another one just reached out and said, "Hey, I want to help." Fox Hollow Outdoors is owned by Mr. Michael that owns Sam Jones, so they're going to send us stuff from both of those. Another one we got from Greensboro is Jim Neary's Live Bait and Tackle from Pennsylvania. Just handing us some rods, a whole bag of stuff, which is pretty awesome. Our 2 stars, Kakalaki, the peanut barbecue brand. Mr. Page, he's awesome guy. Good stuff too. Lazy Baits, they're out of Pennsylvania. They sent us stuff last year. They're sending us some stuff for April to give everybody. Unlimited Fishing Concepts, we met them in Greensboro as well, right across from all those lures, and he gave Ryan a bag full of lures for that. Kevin France Design. I don't know if you guys saw on our social media, but we had the jersey, and we had it in Greensboro where people were voting. Kevin France is also military, and he designed that for us. So pretty good to have a designer that's updating all of our logos and making us look pretty now. And then our 1-star, we have Mr. Brad, Miss Teresa Baker, Jacob Nemeth, and then Amy Adams Bait, which is our first female bait maker that sent us stuff, which is pretty cool to have that. I forgot where she's out of. And then we're working with Black Ops Tackle. Ryan's getting that one secured here, which is going to be pretty cool. They're a very startup company. And then, of course, you guys with OneCast and Carolina Waters being helping us last year and this year, and then having us on here for our for the show is pretty cool. And Ryan, did I leave anybody out?
Nope, not that I can think of. You covered everyone. That was impressive. I wish I had that those note taking skills.
Yeah.
I do want to say there was a lot of Pennsylvania companies in
I
there,
was
so
gonna-
I don't want to hear any smack from anybody talking about Yankees.
There was.
All right.
There is.
That's not a beer.
Yeah.
That's not a beer.
It was
You
a
know,
Coke Zero.
You almost need a whole OpSen to manage all of those companies. That's fantastic that all those companies are showing out, providing support to the mission. The mission never ends. There's no like objective achieved, right? It's ongoing forever. So it's really cool to see that you guys have developed those networks. And we'll probably reach out to you guys to get some of those people on the show to talk about their support to the veteran community as well and promote some of their product. That's fantastic, man. And you're definitely going to get participation from our end.
Yep.
You know, and we'll talk offline on that and figure out a way to throw some love your way. So
1,000%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to do. I'd like to do one more shout out before we leave.
Do it.
I try to tell him as much as I can, but I can't give enough thanks to Ryan for all the help and support that he does. I mean, he just got promoted in his job. He's single. He could be spending a lot more time doing something else besides this, but he is really truly wanting to help the military. And then his father, who's off camera, is going to also come on board and help us as well. So I can't thank Ryan and his father enough for the stuff that Ryan has done, the stuff that his dad's going to do, and then the board members that have already been on the board helping us. I just can't thank him enough because Ryan is really, I had the vision and Ryan has helped me take it 3 levels. And every year, I mean, every month it's really going up another lot. So Ryan, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done.
Thank you. It's great to be a part of this organization and work to help grow this mission. I mean, it's been amazing to see just the amount of support, whether it's boaters or companies willing to come on board and say thank you and, you know, give back to the military community and then to the warriors too that want to participate in our events. It's been great to be a part of, and I'm looking forward to what this year has to bring.
yeah, man. So Dwayne, Ryan, we appreciate you guys coming on and talking about your mission. I want to end this with a smile. Everyone heard it. Ryan's single, so
It could be our first of the OneCast love connection. He was very clear to bring up the fact he was single. So
if you want to put your Tinder handle on,
Hey, only if you fish. Only if you want to go fishing. If not,
farmers only. It doesn't matter. But no, man, really appreciate what you guys are doing. There's not enough of you. There's not enough of us to give back to those that gave so much for this country and that are continuing to give so much for this country. And so, every person matters in this situation. So you can save a life by donating some time.
Yep.
And that is free 99. It really is. Like it comes without no cost. So I appreciate you guys coming on. Before we wrap it up, Ben, Pete, Ryan, Dwayne, do you got anything?
thank you for having us on. This has been amazing. And we really hope y'all get involved and help take our warriors fishing. And if you're a warrior out there, as Trey said, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's what we exist for. I mean, this has really become a full-time job for us because we enjoy it so much, and we're ready and waiting to get you out on the water.
Dwayne, any closing comments?
Yeah, I do want to close. We've talked a lot about sponsors and trying to get sponsors and this and that, but honestly, the most important thing we want to get is a warrior. So if we can affect and get warriors without sponsors, that's great too. But we really need the help of boaters. Boaters are number 1B asset. Warriors being 1A, boaters are 1B because we can't do the fishing without the boater. So if you're out there, you're listening, you want to take something, you want to make a difference in somebody's life, then contact us and we'll get you paired with a warrior. And hopefully you do it more than once, because you don't have to take the same person every time. We can get you connected with multiple warriors, because right now, just in our system, and within a year, we've got 206 warriors in our system. We've got 89 boaters, and that's over 6 states. So, yeah, we talk about sponsors, but we really want to get the warriors. So thank you guys. Thanks, Ben, Pete, Trey. Thanks for having us on here. Thanks for your support you guys do. Thanks for your service. All you guys that's been listening. Trey, I think, Ben, you're military, you're Marine, right?
Yeah, he was a Marine. Yeah.
No. All my family was. No, all my
He still carries crayons in his pocket.
Yeah.
Though.
He was in the Army, but he
I was in the Army. Yeah.
Well, we came out. We'd come save you when we need you. So, Coast Guard right here. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your service. And Mr. Glennon.
Thank you.
Thanks in advance for helping us out over there, Mr. Glennon.
He's shooting you a
thank you.
yeah, shooting you a thank you. Dwayne, hang on. After we end the show, don't jump off. Pete, Ben, what you got?
The only thing I got is appreciate these guys coming on. The mission's hugely important. I expect some of y'all to step up. I know we've worked on building this culture, and we're going to say our catchphrase here before we sign off. But this is, like Trey said, it's an opportunity to save a life, and that's priceless. So spend a little gas money, a little entry fee, whatever it is, to be able to impact somebody's life like that. There's no amount of money that you can put on that in my book. Maybe to some, but not to me.
Sure.
The only other thing I got is
I got one more. I just want to clarify. We do not have entry fees. We don't charge boaters to fish in any of our events. So the only expense would be your bait, your gear, and your gas.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So now you have no excuse.
Yeah.
So appreciate y'all coming on. Everybody listening. Giveaway is here. Next Friday, we're going to draw it. 2 Fridays from when we're recording this, but next Friday from when this is dropping. If you haven't left us a review, go leave us a review, send us a screenshot, get entered in that. We've got 5 months of giveaways, or 5 weeks of giveaways, which ends up being 5 months because we didn't want a month. So I was right the first time. Sorry, it's late. I'm tired. It's been a day. So get entered in that. We're going to draw those names on Fishing Friday Live and win some awesome prizes from a bunch of our partners. And that is all I got. You want to send us off, Trey? You want me to do it? Good?
Send it off.
Dwayne, Ryan, we really appreciate it. We appreciate your dad being here too. You guys are awesome. Your mission is awesome, and it helps us support building a culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.